throne and leave your body alone. Somebody must change. You are the reason I've been waiting for so long. Somebody holds the key. Well, I'm near the end and I just ain't got the time. And I'm wasted and I can't find my way home. Come down on your own and leave your money at home. Somebody must change. You are the reason I've been waiting all these years. Somebody holds the key. Well, I'm near the end and I just ain't got the time. And I'm wasted and I can't find my way home. Well, I can't find my way home. No, I can't find my way home. No, no, I can't find my way home. No, no, I can't find my way home.
Sorry. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I've got somebody here I've been wanting to spend time with for quite a long while now. Many of you on the channel know him, and you also know we're pretty tight and have been since we met on YouTube in about 2021, right, Paul?
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah. So if
Time flies.
if you recognize Paul Georgia from his channel, he's down here in East Texas today.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Paul flew in for a few days, and we're looking forward to hitting some guitar shops, and thought we would upload a video that's not lengthy, but maybe gives a little insight into what, how Paul got to the place where let's say buying guitars.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's where I'm at. I'm not much on playing them, but I know how to buy them really well. Yeah.
So we're both real good at buying them.
Yeah.
So,
And also, I'll be right back, folks. All right, everybody, we're back real quick here. So one of the things I wanted to do was, look, Paul buys a lot of guitars. We're going to talk a few minutes about that. But before we get started, Paul's younger brother or older brother?
Older. I'm the youngest boy.
Yeah. So Louis, Georgia, up in, and I'm going to zoom in on this so everybody can see it, hopefully. Louis, Georgia. Pretty well-known guitarist up in the Northeast, right?
Sure was, yeah. He was quite legendary in our little corner of the world.
Yeah, and he played with a lady that you introduced me to.
That was Robbie, my oldest brother. Robbie was the one who had real, significant career success being a guitar player. He was a real professional guitar player.
Who was that lady he played with?
Melanie. So many of you might know Melanie as the sort of the folk singer she was known as. She had a big hit with a song called "I've Got a Brand New Roller Skate, You Got a Brand New Key." She had a couple other ones, "Candles in the Rain." Anyway, in the mid-'70s, the late '70s, she decided to go electric and put together an electric band. And that's where she found my brother Robbie. He played electric guitar for her and acoustic. And sang background vocals, and they had a stellar band. They had the Brecker brothers on horns, and they played Carnegie Hall. I mean, he was the real deal. Robbie was the real deal. Whereas Louis and I were more, he was closer in age, and we played in bands together all the time. Whereas Robbie was quite a bit older than us and had already left the house and gone on to some career success as a player. But Louie and I were real played together all that, and I was a drummer, so I didn't want to be compared. I was already being compared to them in every walk of life. I said, I'm not going to try to be a guitar player. They're way too good. I'll never be that. So I took up drums, and I was a drummer all my life until significantly about 8 or 9 years ago. I'd say maybe 10 years ago.
Until you ran into Reverb.
Yeah, exactly.
And started buying guitars.
The death of all our checkbooks.
Yes.
Yeah, Reverb.com was the end. But this was a CD that we had put together after Louis passed away. And it's sort of a greatest hits, if you will, of his session work that he did with other people and some of his own stuff. And I mean, Louis was just a phenomenal player. And keep in mind, you got to put it into perspective of these were in the days where you learned to play an instrument by putting the needle on the record and listening to what your heroes did and trying to figure it out. There were no YouTube channels or there were no teachers in my town that could come close to teaching Louis anything, So it was all by ear, that we all learned to play, So I think kids today have it a little bit easier. I know I go to YouTube now to try to figure stuff out, So it's great that it's there, but we grew up in a time where you actually had to have an ear to do it, So
and some feel of where things were on fretboard, I guess, would be another aspect of that. But I wanted to bring up Louie and Robbie because Paul comes out of a family of 8. Yeah.
We were the 3 musicians of the 8. None of the others really played any instruments, but but they sure were music fans. In every room of the house, there was a separate and distinct record collection that I got to listen to. So my oldest sister Julie was a Beatles fanatic. She actually named me after Paul McCartney.
Okay.
Brian was the soul guy. He had all the horn bands, the Sly and the Family Stone, and Chicago, and Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Louie and Robbie were more of the blues, Johnny Winter and Rick Derringer and all those folks. So I would just go from room to room and just the records were there. I got to listen to. It was a perfect melting pot of exposure to music. I didn't get a lot out of it, but I definitely had that that ability to listen to them. So
now you still do drumming?
All the time. Yeah, I still play drums. Drums are my first love. I still love playing drums. I still get that really excited feeling when I see a drum set in a store or somewhere. I always think about what are the possibilities of that drum set, and I love to play, but I don't put the work into it like I did when I was a kid. I would play 3-4 hours a day. I mean, I was obsessed with being a decent drummer, and I think you get to a certain level and you think, all right, well, I kind of want to do something more musical in terms of expression, and it's hard nobody wants to hear you play drums for 3 or 4 hours. They want to hear music, So that's when I started looking into playing guitar and piano, because I wanted to be able to sing and play, in a solo situation. So that's when I really started. I always had guitars around, but I never really played all that much until 9-10 years now or so that I really kind of put a little more energy. It's still got a long way to go, but as long as the hands hold up, I'm going to keep at it.
Well, that's kind of what I said. Same thing. So you drums, keyboard,
a little bit of everything. Guitar. I have mandolins around the house and banjos and dobros, and I'm always fiddling with something. Just trying to try new things and new experiences. I love them all. The problem is I want to play everything, and you can't do that. So I think I tell kids all the time, because I teach beginner lessons on guitar and piano and drums to mostly my kids' friends, usually things like that. And I always say, look, try them all, but at some point you've got to kind of pick a lane, and say I'm gonna stick with this instrument, So for now it's I'm focusing on guitar and really enjoying playing piano, and I've got a long way to go. The great news about piano is every time I play, I get better, because when you're so bad, you got nowhere to go but up. So every time I play, I go, I'm just a little bit better than I was an hour ago. So that's the nice thing about it.
I think I think that's probably something everybody can relate to. Is this your only album you put out?
Right now it is. Yeah, I'm working on the follow up. But I did during COVID. I did had a lot of downtime, as we all did. Wasn't doing any gigs of any kind. No one was. We were all kind of in the Northeast. We were all pretty well locked down, as we were, around the rest of the country. So I just started to write some songs and go in the studio and recorded that album. It really was. I was going to name it "How I Spent My COVID Vacation," but it wound up. It had a certain. I got a lot of inspiration out of Memphis for some reason, because I'd spent a lot of time there. And not that it sounds anything like a Memphis record, but that was kind of the inspiration. So I named it North and South as a result of that. I played most, if not all, the instruments on it, and wrote the songs, did the vocals. The great thing is that I go to a studio where you can do that now with the computers and multi-tracking. I can play a rhythm track and then play drums and then run over and play piano and then run over and play bass and then go in the vocal booth, and in a few hours you've got a song. It's
by
crazy.
the way,
Crazy
plug
how
Paul
fast.
number 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Great idea. So I record at a place called Long Hill Recording Studios in a town called Shelton, Connecticut. Very small town, but Paul we call him the Wizard. Because he can do it all. He can play any of these instruments 1,000 times better than me. But he's very patient with me, and he says, no, play that guitar solo. You're going to do this. And I go, I can't do it. He's like, no. Just, here's the start and stop button. Play it 3,000 times until you got one you can stand. And that's what I do, So he's very patient with me, but he's also great at the whole cut and paste, Sure. So if I do a 3 or 4 vocal tracks, we can sort of cut and paste what's the best verse and what's the best chorus kind of thing. So he's fantastic at that. So it's very productive as long as I have the material. The whole key is preparation. So if I go in there and I've got the song all sketched out in my mind and everything, then you can really get a lot done quickly. Whereas if I go in there and I'm not really sure, you're throwing a lot of money away because you're in there and you're not being as productive as you need to be.
And
so,
it's not exactly inexpensive.
No, and he's very reasonable. I don't mean to indicate that he's. In fact, I think he's ridiculously low for what he does. All the follow up work and the mixing and the the production work that he does.
That's where the time is, right there.
It's painstaking. The mixing and mastering is.
And Paul, if you see this, that opening tune, I only had Paul redo it 8 times.
Yeah, so that's good for me.
Yeah, which he said it was 50 with you, so I feel pretty good. You have a link to his website?
I can put one. I can send you one. Yeah.
Does he have a channel?
Yes, as a matter of fact, he does. Because he does some unbelievable videos. Not only is he a master recording engineer and producer, but he makes the most unbelievable videos. And now he's into the AI, so it's next level now. Right. It's so crazy what he's doing. With his video production, it's just amazing. He can do anything. Paul's incredible.
And he recorded Louie and Robbie both?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, he grew up with Robbie. They were in a very popular band called Spoonfeather, the Spoonfeather Band, and there's videos on YouTube of the Spoonfeather Band where you can hear Robbie and Paul playing when they were young kids.
Then I'll have a link to that.
Yeah.
Okay, in the description.
Yeah. So he and Robbie, that's how I knew Paul literally all my life, because he was around Robbie. He and Robbie were close friends. That's how I came to know Paul. So I've known him literally all my life. So
that's a 2014 reproduction of a 1941 Gibson J100.
Beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mahogany back and sides, Sitka spruce top. Just an absolute beautiful guitar.
Sure is.
And it's the same exact size as a J200. You'll just notice you don't have the inlays like you do on the J200, and you don't have the mustache bridge. Yeah. You have the pyramid bridge.
Yep.
How does the mahogany sound versus the maple?
I love it. It's different. It's warmer.
Yeah.
It's definitely a warmer sound. But that's great, because with a jumbo, you're already getting that boominess already, so you can afford to lose a little bit of the brightness
with the maple.
That you would get with the maple. Okay. So I'm loving the sound of this. I mean, now I'm going to be shopping, So,
Yeah.
because I have a number of jumbo style guitars, J200 style guitars, but they're, for the most, they are all maple back and sides. I don't have any that are either rosewood or mahogany. So something else to put on the wish list, because it's just a warm, beautiful tone, and it rings for days, and you don't lose anything up in the top, up here. A lot of guitars will kind of fall off, as I was telling Randy. Up here they'll kind of fall off the spectrum a little bit in terms of brightness and tone, but not this. I mean, it stays with you all the way up the neck, which I love. That's really what I look for when I try to shop for a guitar. And so these days it's, my mom used to say try before you buy, but that's harder to do these days because the stores are less plentiful and they don't always have these kind of things around where you can try them out. So a lot of it is, cross your fingers and buy it on Reverb and hope it's what you want, and usually it is. I've had good luck, but not always. So
Jonathan Mackenzie and John Marr.
Yes.
They both have the same first name, so I kind of have to stop and pause for a minute. Whose last name goes with which? But those two guys built Mackenzie and Marr over here. Now, you played that one, and you got the chance to look it over. Tell me what you think.
That is a stunning, stunning guitar. It really is. The craftsmanship of that, decoratively, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And that's a great thing. But if it doesn't have the goods, then that's all just dressing, right?
Right.
That's got the goods. I mean, the action is perfection. The neck feels great. And again, it stays with you all the way. I was playing way past the 12th fret on it, and it didn't lose a thing. And it's perfectly intonated. It's a masterpiece. I mean, I really want one. Yeah, I really want one. That model especially, because I'm a dreadnought. I love jumbos, but I also play a lot of dreadnoughts. Usually nothing smaller than that. But I love a good dreadnought, and man, that's
well, John and Jonathan made that a gift to me, and I was actually. But there's one other you're going to play before you leave Tuesday, which is you're going to play the Mackenzie and Marr Grand Manan 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to play that guitar as well. That's
Looking forward to that.
Sitka spruce top and mahogany back and sides, and as opposed to the Adirondack spruce and the rosewood, Bolivian rosewood.
Yeah.
But I felt the same way about these guys up there. I was quite shocked when I picked that guitar up and started playing. It's fast becoming one of my favorites.
Yeah, there's certain brands from an import perspective that are really doing things right, and that's one of them for sure. That's a brand that you can really count on to get a guitar that, if it were made in the USA, that's a $6,000-$7,000 guitar probably, and you're going to pay significantly less than that. You just have to overlook the import part of it, but man, they've come a long way, a long way.
They really have.
Brands like Eastman are doing amazing stuff. Mackenzie and Marr, there's a few names out there that are super.
Appreciate everybody joining the channel. I want to encourage you to go see Paul's channel. He's got an amazing lineup of guitars, and the early videos were done with an iPhone, and they were a bit of a struggle. But then, as of the last couple of years,
well, you taught me how to do all this. I learned it from you.
Well, you didn't have to mention that, but. Kind of stepped the game up there, and it's got some fantastic guitar comparisons and reviews, and I think it's just a great channel, particularly if you love guitars and you're someone who is either looking to buy a guitar or and there's some of these are pretty nice budget guitars too.
Like not everything I have is real high end. I like the affordable stuff, too. So
I was listening to an interview the other day on a channel a guy was doing. He was having a discussion about, we get a little crazy with this thing of, we have to have this, and we have to have that, and we have to have this on a guitar. But the truth is, if you're playing, at home or somewhere locally, You don't have to have $5,000 guitars. There's some really good guitars out there. I've got a Court that I bought here about a month ago, and I still got to review it on the channel. It's a cedar top and mahogany back and sides, and I think I paid $500 for that guitar. It's all solid wood, and it's pretty highly appointed.
It's beautiful guitar.
It's made in South Korea, I think, and back in I think this guitar is probably, I don't know, 8-10 years old at this point. They don't make them anymore, not this one. And I just happened to see it on Reverb, and I thought $500 for an all solid wood 00 size guitar. This is kind of the lane I'm looking in for picking up a budget friendly guitar. And it's not to say you can't get one even less that's reasonably sounding, right?
I've got some that are that price or even a little bit less expensive for used. And they're, there's great stuff out there. There really is. That's the wonderful thing about the time that we live in now, with the advent of machine tools and things. You can make a very, very playable guitar for a relatively small amount of money. Whereas when I was a kid, and probably when you were a kid, I mean, you either had a Gibson or a Fender or a Martin, and anything else was pretty much unplayable. I mean, they were bad. I mean, a cheap guitar was really, the action was you could drive a Buick underneath the,
12
between
fret.
So, it's really, the kids today are fortunate in that respect, or beginners, I should say. If you don't, you're just getting into guitar and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can get great stuff for $300-400. That'll last you a long time, that you won't outgrow. Necessarily.
Well, all good points, man. Listen, I can't tell you how much I'm glad to have you down here.
Thank you, man. I'm thrilled to be here.
It's great.
Really
it's great.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Yeah.
Well, we're going to cut the video a little bit short. We didn't want to spend, an hour talking, because I don't know that anybody wants to hear us talk for an hour.
We easily could, but that's
we could sit here and talk for 2 or 3 hours.
We'll do that after we
clip
the mic.
Exactly. But Paul, it's great to see you, brother, man.
Thank you, man. Great pleasure. Thanks for having me.
100%.
All right.
Folks, go visit Paul. Check him out, and I'll drop all the relevant links down in the description. And he's been a good friend for the last 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
And so when he showed up today, we met in a little small downtown here in Mineola, Texas, and we had a little breakfast, and which I thought was outstanding.
That was great. Yeah. Really glad to be here.
Yeah, and it's like we saw each other last week, because we talk pretty much every week.
Yeah.
But give him a visit, and I know he'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel. We're doing this for fun, and for no other reason.
That's
try to get some information out on guitars, instruments.
It's purely for the fun and enjoyment of sharing what little I know. I try to share with people, and if it's an opportunity to say, hey, here's an opportunity to get a really good guitar at a low price. Here's something you might want to consider, kind of thing. So.
Well, Paul's got some high-end gills, but he's also got some gills that are more in the budget lane, which surprisingly have beat out some of his high-end guitars in some of his videos. So I encourage you to go check his channel out. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
And thank all of you.
Thank you very much.
See you next time.
See y'all. Bye-bye.